Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you today about the regions that we've been learning about. It's very important that by the end of this week, you understand that the climate, the geography is related to the economy in these regions, that what they can make and sell and produce and the jobs that they can have is purely based on their geography, the climate that they live in. So let's take a look at that. So if we look at the climate first, the climate changes as you move between latitudes, the latitudes that stretch across the earth. If you move from the south to the north, the climate changes from hot to cold. So if you like living in a colder region, you would have preferred the New England colonies. And if you like living in a warmer region like Texas, you would prefer living in the southern region. Opposite, though, happens if you travel from the north to the south. It gets hotter. So you leave the cold region and you head to a warmer region. And this climate, as a part of the geography, was a huge factor in determining the economy of these three regions we've been talking about. Let's start with New England, which includes New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. The climate of this region includes cold, harsh winters and mild summers. The landscape has rocky soil, lots of ports, big tall trees, and it's kind of mountainous in this region. That equals the economy, which includes shipbuilding, part of those big tall trees, subsistence farming, which just means that you're only growing crops for you and your family to eat. You're not sharing it with others. You don't have enough growing season because of the cold, harsh winters, and you also don't have enough good soil because of the rocky soil. Lumber, because that's great from those big, tall trees. They use it as shipbuilding, but also for building other things. And lastly, trade, because of those big ports. So you can see how the economy here is directly related to the climate and the landscape that New England had. Let's take a look at the middle colonies. Oh, I forgot, fishing and whaling. Because of the colder temperatures and the colder waters in the New England region, it made the sea life abundant with fish and whales that they could use and hunt and fish and trade with as well. Middle colonies, including New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Their climate consisted of cold winters, similar to New England, but warmer summers, warmer and a little bit longer summers. The landscape, lots of ports, fertile soil, and large fields. So almost similar, except the soil in this region is actually good. They have some quality soil and some larger open spaces. It's still relatively hilly in this region, and there are some mountains to the west, but larger, more open space than New England. And that equals their economy, which is consisted of trade, farming, oats, wheat, and barley. Because of the specific climate, they focused on growing these colder crops. Breadbasket was their nickname because of these crops. These are the type of crops that you would use to grind up into flour and make into bread, but also because they provided a lot of food for the other regions and colonies. The southern colonies, including Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, had a climate that's a lot like ours, hot summers and mild winters. Winters that sometimes you'd see snow or ice, but not always. And the landscape of the southern region was more similar to the middle than New England. They have fertile soil just like that. Just like the middle region, they have large fields, flat land. There also were some great ports in the south, but we're going to focus more on the farming for the southern region. And their economy, unfortunately, was based off the plantation system, where enslaved people were used and exploited for free labor to produce the crops that they grew. This resulted in large-scale agriculture because it wasn't just one person or family growing the crops, it was many people. And as a result of that, the southern colonies, because of their climate and their long growing season, grew cash crops. And those crops included things like rice. Tobacco was one of the first ones in Jamestown in Virginia, and corn and indigo, which is a dye for clothing. Later on, those crops would also include cotton, which would become more popular with the invention of the cotton gin, something we'll talk about after Christmas. So these are the southern regions, and it always makes me think of hot sauce from Taco Bell. When I think about the summer in the South, it makes me think of fire sauce because the summers in the South are just like here in Austin, Texas. They're very hot, they're very fire. Sometimes all you want to do is stay inside all day. Their summers are very similar to ours. If you think about the middle region, they'd probably just be a hot during summer because they do have some warm summers there in the middle region that allow them to grow crops and things like that, but it's not as hot. It's not fire like the southern region. And then if you think about the New England region, it's definitely mild. Their summers in the New England region are very mild. It'd be a great place to spend the summer if you wanted to get out of the hot temperatures. Go to the New England region. You'd really enjoy those temperatures. But if I think about the winters, then in the New England region, it'd have to be icebreaker. Icebreaker would be what's going on in New England in the winter. It's icy, it's snowy, it's a very cold climate in the winter in New England. And in the winter in the middle colonies, it's a little bit less harsh. It's not really hot at all. They still have a winter. So maybe I would say ketchup because ketchup is the anti-hot sauce. And so that's what I think of when I think of the middle colonies winters. And then you reverse the sauce for the southern colonies winters. They have mild winters. So they're kind of warm. You might see some snow and ice from time to time, but mostly the southern colonies temperatures in the winter are pretty mild. They don't have the ice like the New England colonies have. So that's just a helpful way to hopefully help you remember the climates. And always remember the climates affect the geography.